Kia ora, good morning. So, I had an interesting dream. I'm sitting here having my coffee. I'm changing my bedding. I'm getting ready to do some baking because my baby's come tomorrow. So, as promised, I'm documenting all my dreams so that I can show you how to interpret them, interpret your own. This one was like something out of a movie. So, I had a dream. I was on a boat the same boat from the other dream that I documented on X with the river of gold, and I came up. I was coming up to the shore, and Abuela, I call her every time I see the sea turtle. I call her Abuela. Whenever I see sea turtles, sea turtles to me is Abuela, grandmother, and she was pulling the boat to shore. She was like helping pull it. I don't know if there was a rope or she was using her back, or I've documented this dream before on X. She's Hora. It's I'll put a link in the description box, but it is there. I've got videos on up here about Abuela already. I've even got a little soft toy plushie abuela that I got from SeaWorld in Newcastle, because to me, the sea turtle, just like the whale, is very, very special to me. So anyway, she helped pull the boat in, and the same hand from the other dream reached out that had the moon and North Star tattoo on the left hand, reached out to pull me out of the boat. And I was walking through the jungle, and instead of coming to the waterfall like in the last dream, I could hear drums, and I started following the drums, and I walked into a cave, and in the cave was like all these cave paintings, and there was I immediately felt this very sort of dark, I'm laughing because I know what's coming, this like dark, sinister, evil kind of presence. But the cave paintings had come to life and were, as the drums were beating, and were basically showing me what was going to happen. So, like, the men with the sticks chasing the animal, the animal turned around and chased the men with the sticks and trounced the men, like stomped on the men with the sticks. And there was like one on the cave painting, it looked like he was banging the drums, and then like all this fire came out of the drums, and all the men with spears fell to the ground and all of that. And as I was walking deeper into the cave, it's like I knew I had to go into the cave. I knew it was important that I went into the cave. I knew that Abuela was taking me into the cave for a reason. She needed me to be there. So I just kept walking. I could feel the darkness, but I wasn't afraid. Obviously, the further I got deeper into the cave, the louder the drums, until I saw like a circle of fire, like, little logs of fire or little fire pits in a circle. And in the middle of the circle were these hooded cloaks, and they were doing an occult sacrifice with a chicken. There was blood and feathers everywhere. They were doing all their, ooga booga, boogie oogie kind of BS. And I was finding it quite amusing, because I remember thinking, don't they know that by killing an innocent, they've now cursed their bloodline forever? And on that scene in Mulan, where the dragon totem gets called into the temple, I think it is, and all the ancestors are sitting in spirit form, like, talking to them, talking to it, coming to life, and giving it instructions, blah blah blah, on the kind of between the wall and the ceiling of the cave were like these ancestral gods. I know Zeus was there. I definitely know Zeus was there, and I know Neptune was there as well. But there were others that I didn't recognize because they were more relating to wherever this cave was, which is either North Central or South America, and indigeny. It's always like around Central and South America. And I remember thinking, or I remember saying in my head to the gods, why am I here? And they pointed, and over in the corner, in this little corner where they had, where the cult had put like a circle of stones that were on fire, my ex-best friend. And he was crying. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he said, I can't move. And he going to get emotional because he looked terrible. Like he looked like he'd been through every war in history. Like he and I should have punched him in the face, like, because of everything that he's done, because of the betrayal. It's like these people wouldn't be stupid enough to try and come back into my life, surely. But anyway, he needed rescuing, Abuela, because he's from Panama. He's Panamanian, Jose, and they needed me to rescue him. And obviously because they heard me talking, the cult in the circle heard me talking, the hooded figures, and they started trying to do this like oogie boogie, and I just raised my hand and like flicked my finger, like I'm cracking a whip. I just raised my hand and I was sort of like, oh my God, like I found it amusing, but I just raised my hand, and while they were trying to, it's like they had, in gymnastics and that, how they have the ribbons, and they flick the ribbons around and they throw the balls up and, flip and contort and all that. They were doing that, thinking it was magic, thinking that they were doing something magic. And I just raised my hand and like brought my finger down. You know that famous painting of God reaching out with the finger point? It was on the Sistine Chapel. I just did that with my finger, but flicked it like a whip. And they burst into flames and turned into dust. Like they literally just, boom, gone. And I'm like, right, okay, so that's done. And I turned and I said to Jose, like, you're free to go, right? Like, you can step out. And he said, he thought he was trapped, but all he had to do was step out, but that made him think he was trapped, but he wasn't trapped. It was all an illusion. It was all in his head. And I was like, well, come on then, just step out. And he stepped out, and he came running over, like he came sprinting over, and he was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God, you saved me. I said, I didn't. It was all in your head. And he said they were never going to let me go. And I said, it was all in your head. I kept saying to him, they had control over you because you thought they had control over you, but they didn't. It was all in your head. And he went to hug me, and I didn't want him touching me. like I didn't want him touching me, but he wouldn't, like he wasn't not going to have it, and he was like, I've missed you, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And he was like, he fell to the ground, he was hugging my feet, like he did not want to let me go. It's like he knew that I'd saved his soul or something. And then he looked up at me and he said, what can I do to thank you? And I said, just let me go, just leave me alone. I said, you're free to go now, and so am I. And then there was just like this puff of white light, and then I woke up. Hang on, I've got to have a sip of my coffee, because I haven't spoken to this man in years. He was the betrayal of all betrayals. Losing him was worse than losing my husband. So the dream, interpreting the dream. When you dream of water, it doesn't matter whether it's a bath, an ocean, a river, a stream, whatever. Water in dreams represent emotions and intuition. So depending on the state of the water, depends on how deep your emotions, how deep your intuition, your emotional state at the time of the dream. Well, this was like a calm, literally a calm blue ocean. And it was clear, it was so clear I could see everything swimming. Now, with Abuela, obviously, like sea turtles, the same as whales, talk about ancient ancestors, but sea turtles in particular, even if you know it's a boy, talks about grandparents, the grandparents, the abuela and abuelito, right? But for me, significantly, sea turtles for some reason is to do with Central and South America. I don't know why. It just always has done. Um, so um, the boat, what you're traveling in, the vehicle that you travel in, depending on what the vehicle is your the journey you're on, the kind of path that you're on. And because it was just like a little rowboat, it means like a humble experience, and a natural experience, an experience that is being guided by nature, guided by the universe, meant to be a part of your journey. So I was always fated to have this dream, basically, but that being asked to be humble. I mean, obviously, because the gods and ancestors knew that somebody in the dream that I didn't want to see was going to be in the dream, and they were asking me to just stay calm and do, we need you to do this for us, it's important. So obviously, going into the cave, meaning is caves and dreams where you're going into anything that is dark and sheltered, like caves, pits, hell, that sort of thing. It's going into the realms of the subconscious mind that you don't necessarily want to look at, or having to do things you don't want to do, but that it's necessary for your spiritual development, your spiritual growth, right? Obviously, because I wasn't under any threat, there were no demons, I wasn't being targeted, I wasn't in any danger. It just means that I was being told by the gods and ancestors to, I've just realised Neptune was there because my ex-best friend is Pisces and their planet is Neptune. So his god would be Neptune. I personally think he's an Aries. He's anyway. So yeah, because it was your typical average cave, the drums representing a deeper connection, like you're calling, like you're being called. It's like when you hear drums in a dream, it's like you're being magnetically pulled. Basically, right up until this point in the dream, what it's all interpreting is you've got no choice, you have to be there. This is part of your journey, you have to do this. You were never not going to have this experience. This dream was always fated for you to have this dream because we needed you to have this dream at this point in time, is basically everything that I've just described and what it means. So obviously the hooded figures and the cave paintings, these cult members, obviously my ex and my husband and students in that, and their illusions, their cult, what they were doing in the circle, and the circle of fire, they were trying to rewrite history because it was cave paintings, because they were trying to do magic, and the fire, they were trying to burn history down. They were trying to rewrite history, which, if you know anything about the occult, anyone who tries to use magic to change someone's fate or destiny or rewrite history is one of the biggest criminal offences you can commit in universal law, because you have karmic law, you have judicial law, which is earthly law, or maritime law, which is the laws of the courts. You have karmic law, which decides your fate, and then you have universal law, which sets out um, the balance between the old and the new, the old universe, the new universe, evolution, devolution, ascension, descension, basically whatever laws you break on earth and the karmic laws you break as a person on a spiritual journey, because we're all here to learn. Every single one of us is put on this earth to learn and pay off karmic debt and stuff from past lives and all of that. So obviously my ex-best friend was put through that experience because he had lessons to learn. He obviously had some stuff he needed to pay off for things he'd done wrong in this life. So obviously the betrayal of me and my sons, because he was going to be my systems support engineer. He was going to create the program, because he was like a Linux nerd, right? So he was going to, I had asked him to write the software that was going to be my streaming service. And he had already started writing the software and that for it when everything happened, when the betrayal happened. So and because I had always said to him when I used to do readings for him in the past, that I had always said that he was going to have a future where he worked with children from all around the world, and that people were going to love him and respect him for being, like this wonderful businessman who was going to create jobs and put back into the community and help people in poverty and all of that. And I had always said to him, when I get my business up and running, my IT department, I'll let you run it. Like, you can have complete control of my IT department. And we had always agreed upon that. So of course when the betrayal happened and he followed them down the dark path, which is very significant for this dream, he let them try to change his destiny. He let them try to change his fate, but because no one can change your destiny, no one can change your fate. What is meant to be is meant to be, but how you get there and what you do when you get it. So like if he's running an IT company now, he's maybe losing money, or he's about to lose money. He maybe is about to go bankrupt, because he was destined to run that company, but because he chose the wrong path to go down there, what was built up will be torn down. So that this is just an example, because I haven't spoken to him for years and years and years, because I really don't think people would from my past would be that stupid. So basically, obviously, the people in the circle and the sacrificing of the chicken with all the blood, obviously, blood in dreams meaning like the draining of the soul, the removing the life force of something, and chickens is to do with finance and family, and like an empire, or the fertility. So because they sacrifice the chicken, and the chicken lays eggs, and a chicken is such a blessed animal because it gives so much back to humanity, and there's so much that you can do with a chicken, and it's fruitful and fertile and constantly giving and giving and giving. It's sacrificing a chicken is basically the people from my past sacrificing the connection that him and I had to make this money, to keep giving and giving and giving to the community, so that they could control him and control our destiny together. But it was obviously never going to be allowed to happen, because it was like the gods let it happen for him up to a certain point to teach him a lesson. And it's obviously scared the crap out of him, because he was so afraid in the dream. It's like he was grieving. He knew what he'd done. He knew that he'd destroyed the connection with us, that he'd taken his life down the wrong path, and he didn't know how to get himself out of it. So once again, as just like always in the past, because I was always having to save his ass, I was always having to interpret his dreams and tell him what was going on, and I was always the one to jump in whenever he was afraid and nervous about job interviews, and that I was there. It was me he'd ring. I was there. I'd sit with him. I'd go over his interviews with him. I was like his emotional support person. Like Gabriel, my son Gabriel is with me, I was with Jose. And I was always saving his ass. I was always the one. Always the one. Even when his girlfriend wouldn't take a delivery, I offered to take a delivery for him. And, I was always saving his ass, and obviously I'm still saving his ass. His betrayal, not only did he break the law to do it, but he broke a bond that was fated to do something great in this world. So instead of helping children, he ended up being involved in something that hurt children, because of the pedophile and the child abuser, and my ex-husband, and he surrounded himself with the people who hurt children and not help them. He chose the wrong path, and I was sent to save him. So the gods had sent me in to save him, to release him. I had already told him a long time ago that I forgave him. I knew he was the innocent one. I knew out of all of them, he was a victim like I was. It's just he was the idiot who didn't listen to his best friend. Even though I told him that they were bad people, even though I told him that they had set him up, that they were, I had told him, he didn't listen. Maybe they promised him, when we get rid of her, we'll start our own company, and maybe they promised him money. They maybe promised him, a road paved with gold or something, and he followed the fool's gold, whereas I'm the real gold, but he didn't give me time to mine it, so to speak. He didn't give me time to develop my magic. He fell for the trick. He fell for the illusion. How they were doing the ribbons and the ball, and contort. They were putting on a show, putting on an act, but none of it was real. And so obviously him being in the corner of the cave in that little circle with the stones on fire, and I'm saying to him, it's not real, like it's all in your head, just step out. is him realising, oh my God, what the hell have I done? I'm an idiot. Like him waking up, him having a dose of reality and waking up and realising that he had made a huge mistake and that his life had taken a very dark turn and he needed to be freed from it. I'll put a video, I made a video a couple of years ago about my role as karma, like how I start ascensions off for people and how, you know, I go down to the underworld to get you, but if you don't follow me back out, I have to leave you there. Well, he went down and I had to leave him there for how many years? Years and years and years and years. Years and years. Years and years. I haven't spoken to him since 2018. My husband, Martin, gave me an ultimatum because I've actually got the letters under my bed that I'm going to use when I take them all to court. Because my husband, Martin, had told me that if I didn't let Jose go, he was going to kill him. And he was asking for his address, and he was like, you know, I'll know where to find him in Boston. And we've got, you know, Latin King there, like I'll just send people to him and we'll kill him. Because he hated my relationship with Jose. He was jealous of it. He wanted to control me. So I had to find a way to get rid of Jose to protect him, because Martin would have sent people to kill him. He would have, without a shadow of a doubt. Martin was in prison for the killing of a young boy. Even though he didn't do the killing, he was involved. It was a gang thing. You know that ghost zombie dream with St. Joan of Arc that I just posted in Revelations, and I put all the stuff? It was in Salem. Jose was there in that park. We were, because I didn't tell Martin that I'd gone there to meet Jose. Nobody knew. He'll know now. But I wanted to meet my best friend, and, you know, we met, and my friend Joanna was there. Nothing happened. You know, he was my best friend. He was like my brother. He was like the other half of me. You know, I just, you know, he was always a gentleman. He was always very respectful. There was never anything like that. That's one of the reasons why I loved him, because he never tried it on. You know, he had his missus, I had my man, and we met in the middle as best friends because I was his high priestess. He used to call me his high priestess, his Irish girl, or his high priestess. But that zombie park in Salem, he was there. He was there. He heard it because we both jumped when we heard the footsteps of the people running up behind us. We kind of jumped and like held hands and started walking really quickly out of the park, and we were laughing. Like we had to sit down because our hearts were pounding so much, because I was like, oh my God, do you hear that? And he was like, what is that? And we jumped around. He was there in that dream. In the Revelations thing. So he was a witness to it. He was a witness to that whole ghost zombie experience. So when I take this to court, I'm going to remind him. So he's a witness. So no one can say that it's in my head that I'm nuts, that my physics and quantum magnetics and time jumping is nuts, because he literally was there in that time jump. He was part of the future playing out in the past. What he experienced in that park with me was an event that was yet to play out a couple of days ago in the future. So I obviously I've been sent to free him. I've been, you know, I'm releasing him. But the thing is, I had already said the other day in X for Elon to let him go. Obviously, because this whole conspiracy to get me and stop me from saving children by like a cult of pedophiles and child abusers and their supporters and investors in that, he's obviously under some sort of contract to not contact me, to keep away, to, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And now he's been released from that contract. So obviously, because I know I'm going to win my court case, because I know I'm going to win all of this, it's releasing him, it's freeing him. And then he can go off and, you know, do his own thing, which is why when he fell to his knees and said, you know, like, what can I do to thank you? How can I thank you? Blah, blah, blah. I said, just let me go. Like, you can go off and do your thing. I'm going off to do my thing. And then I burst into the light when I woke up. So it means that he's been released from whatever contractual obligation he's been forced to be under in regards to me, because I'm going to win my case, because I've proven my case. I've proven it's all real. I've proven that they tried to kill me. I've proven that they tried to set me up. I've proven that the doctors idiots and don't know what they're talking about. I've proven that the government were out to get me, to stop me from stopping them from trafficking humans, you know, which is all to do with that. The reason why they were hooded and cloaked and sacrificing the chickens and all that, it's all to do with that. The American government, the UK government, the military, all of that, all banding together to try and stop me from rescuing children. And because Jose was supposed to be a part of that, building my server for the streaming service and all of that, they tried to change his destiny, and part of that destiny was him paying off karmic debt and learning lessons that he needed to learn before he could be released, because obviously once you've learned all your lessons and your karmic debt is paid, then you're free to go, and then you can go on and prosper and, you know, do what you need to do, which is why, you know, once I flicked my finger and zapped them, I'm guessing it's this dream now, pointing my finger and zapping them and turning them to dust, it's me tearing down everything that they tried to say against me, do against me, prove against me. I know that they produced false evidence. I know that they because I keep saying fake news, so I know that they like tampered with evidence. I know that they doctored evidence and used fake evidence, like the recording of my voice. If they said that they got me, you know, recorded my voice saying something, I know that it was doctored. So in the dream when I was laughing and I just flicked my hand and turned them to dust, so I'm guessing it's this dream. And because of that, it's going to release him from the contract or whatever, and he can go off and now be free to do what he needs to do. And I've released him from the curse, which curses only work if you believe they work. And because he believes in that sort of stuff, because I was his high priestess, I know how his mind works better than anyone. He believed it, so he was trapped by what he thought was, but it was all an illusion. It was all in his head. So bloody Neptune and Zeus and these, obviously the Panamanian gods, you know, like Mayan and Aztec gods, and, you know, like indigenous gods more conducive to his area, that are personal to his ancestors, that wouldn't have anything to do with me. Interestingly enough, he's got a tattoo on his left shoulder. It's a tribal tattoo, a Māori tattoo on his left shoulder, which will be the drums. It'll be why, yeah, the drums. Tribal, like ancient. You know, when you hear drums, it's like, you know, the beat of your soul. And I'm Polynesian. I'm Māori, so yeah, so that'll be why the drums. So, yeah, the bursting into white light is me forgiving him, me releasing him, his soul being cleared, his soul being freed. He can now let go, he can now release, he can now go on to heal, and I can move on now. So he'll have, because he's very fastidious with that sort of thing. I can tell you now, he would have gone over, he would have kept every email that I've sent him, especially where I was interpreting his dreams. I remember the first dream how we met is because I used to interpret dreams on, Yahoo, in the Yahoo community section. I used to interpret dreams for people, and that's how I met him. And I remember the first dream I ever interpreted with him, he was doing yoga. I think he was naked or half naked. I think he was naked, meaning raw, exposed, yeah. He was doing yoga in front of an open window with these white curtains or something flowing, which is probably me talking about this dream, Alpha to Omega, him being exposed and vulnerable. Open window, meaning the consciousness. Windows in dreams mean your conscious mind, and because it was all white and the sun was shining and the curtains were bellowing, while he was doing this yoga, it's him being vulnerable and humble and pure and exposed to the light, which is the dream where it ended with the burst of light will be the very first dream he told me back in 2012. I've known him longer than even my husband. I met him months before I met my husband Martin. He was my best friend since 2012, and then it all ended because he followed not the yellow brick road, the kaka brick road. Because he's an idiot. He's always been an idiot. Because he's stubborn. That's the Aries. I swear to God, he's an Aries. Anyway, so that's what that dream means. So obviously now I've released him and I can let go, and he's been released and he can let go. So he was obviously one last thing that I had to deal with before I get to step into this new life, because I know justice is coming. I know I've won. I'm just waiting to hear. And then it's all over, and then my boys and I can get out of here and we can travel around the UK and decide, where we're going to move. And so I mean, I had already told the gods in there. I'd made it very, very clear many times that I had forgiven him, because I'm a karmic judge. I know when people are innocent and guilty, and I knew he was innocent, but he was just an idiot. He followed what he thought was gold, and it, so whatever his lesson is now is nothing to do with me. I've done my part, like with Vladdy and the king and all of that. I've served my purpose with all of that. So he was obviously one last thing that I had to tie off in a bow before the both of us were able to be set free. So if this dream has helped him be released from the contract, if it's helped free him to get us both justice, then, whatever. It doesn't mean I want to see him. It doesn't mean I want to have anything to do with him, because, I mean, he, the things that he did, you'd have to be a real special person to let that back into your life. But, Father just said, but you are special. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't. He would, I mean, he'd have to have testicles as big as my breastises. So, yeah. Anyway. That's the dream. So now you know. And I will speak to you later, because I've got a bed to make up and cookies to make. So hold your head up high. Know that you are loved. And I will speak to you later. Ka kite anō.